Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Powerline Book of the Year Awards ceremony. I'm John Hinderaker from Powerline. Scott Johnson, Paul Mierengoff, and I started Powerline nearly 6 years ago in the shadow of September 11. Scott and I had been writing together since 1990, and the three of us were interested in a broad range of issues. But from the beginning, our paramount purpose was to support our country, our president, and our armed forces to whatever small extent we could in what we always believed would be a long war against Islamic extremism. It was from that perspective that we selected Norman Podhoritz's World War IV as the Book of the Year for 2007. In concise, lucid prose, Podhoritz reminds us that the jihadist war against us did not begin on September 11, 2001. It sweeps away the trivia that so often clogs our daily headlines and reminds us of the basic principles that must guide the next phase of our war against the Islamic extremists, which, whether we seek it or not, may soon be upon us. In recognition of all these virtues and more, we are proud to present the Powerline Book of the Year Award for 2007 to Norman Podhoritz for World War IV.
I'm doubly honored when I reflect on the fact that the three terrific guys whom I read every single day on Powerline, on the Powerline website, all to some extent disagree with things in this book. We're not accustomed to that kind of toleration these days. Of this, I would say Mark Stein and Henry Kissinger also disagree with key elements of the book. So that makes me triply honored to be receiving this award.
And we are really deeply, deeply honored to have our first speaker with us tonight, Dr. Henry Kissinger. Dr. Kissinger has been a distinguished scholar, both the National Security Advisor and Secretary of State in the Nixon administration, and recipient of both the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the Nobel Peace Prize. We are really honored to have him with us tonight, Dr. Henry Kissinger.
Terrorism, what we call terrorism, refers to a method. What terrorism represents is an assault by radical Islam on the political structure of the Islamic world, but in a deeper sense, on the secular structure and international structure of anything, any society within reach of Islam, which means almost every part of the world. That is the fundamental challenge. Therefore, to talk about withdrawal from any battlefield is to describe defeat. There is no way to escape the conflict with Islam by leaving Afghanistan or leaving Iraq. That is it's an illusion, and it is not something that will have long-term consequences. It is something that would have almost immediate consequences. That is the fundamental problem of our period, that this is a war against radical Islam that has to be won.
Our next speaker is Mark Stein. Mark is said to be the world's most widely read columnist. He is an expert in the disparate fields of musical comedy and terrorism. Mark's book, America Alone, was the runner-up for this year's Book of the Year prize. I'm happy to introduce Mark Stein.
World War IV is an important book because it does two critical things. It attempts to grapple with the scale of the challenge that we're facing and to place it in the context of the great crashes of the 20th century and America's role in them. I slightly differ from Norman. I don't disagree with the numerals, but I think that the problem with this crash, in a way, is that you can find elements of the First, Second, and Third World Wars within it.
And finally, to speak to us tonight, of course, is our honoree, Norman Podhoretz. As editor of Commentary magazine, Norman became America's foremost public intellectual. For decades, he has been a leader in the fight for freedom, and in 2004, he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The winner of this year's Powerline Book of the Year Award, Norman Podhoretz.
The outcome of World War IV crucially depends on who will win the ferocious war of ideas being fought here at home, which is why my greatest wish is that the book Powerline is honoring here tonight will reinforce the side of those who understand that the war we are in is indeed another world war, and that, like its immediate predecessors, it is a war to the death. I also hope and pray that this book will correspondingly help to expose as delusory the arguments of those on the opposing side who refuse to recognize how dangerous is the great evil we have been forced to struggle against, and who do not appreciate how infinitely precious is the heritage of liberty we are called upon to protect and preserve and, yes, to spread, so that it may long endure and not perish from the earth. Thanks very much.